I
like that.
Yeah, it's a positive song. It reminds me of like gospel music in terms of the positive message, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So my guest today, if you haven't noticed, is the beautiful Keisha Buchanan. Keisha is famous for...
being in...
I put you on the spot there.
It's so awkward to say. See, I'm still not even used to it myself. So I'm, I guess, known for being in one of the UK's biggest girl bands called the Sugababes.
Yeah. So Keisha is one of the founding members of the Sugababes. And Sugababes, correct me if I'm wrong, Keisha, she started in 1998?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and your founding members were Mutia and Siobhan?
Yes.
But you guys, there's been like a number of lineup changes which has been reported in the media, good, bad and indifferent. But Sugababes, as it stands now, you have the trademark, you have the name, and Sugababes is performing now as per the 3 original members of the band.
That's correct.
Yeah? So, Keish, what's happening with the Sugababes? Are you guys performing this year? I know we've got like...
Yeah, so we basically first got back together, believe it or not, like 2014.
Yeah.
And then we created this album, which was super sick, but then it sort of like leaked and then we had a few issues. We actually first came out under the name MKS.
Yeah.
We dropped this sort of Kendrick Lamar mashup of his song Swimming Pools, and we had a song called Lay Down. So then we called it Lay Down in Swimming Pools. So we did that. And then we had a song called Flatline. And then we kind of went silent for a while because obviously our tracks leaked and we had to just sort of get back into the headspace. Plus sort out the name.
Yeah.
Because everyone was calling us Sugababes, or we were walking around calling ourselves MKS. And they were like, so
what
Sugababes,
was that like?
Hi. What, calling ourselves MKS?
Yeah.
Because
it's a strong brand.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that everyone knew our group just by our vocals. So if you hear a Sugababes song, you know it's us.
Yeah.
So every time like we would like create a track, they'd be like, oh, that's Sugababes. Like everyone ignored the name MKS. So it just made sense for us to come back and use it, which we have. And we just celebrated our 20th anniversary of the first album.
Yeah.
And we re-released that with some demos from when we were kids.
And it had the Overload on there.
It had all the tracks, literally, that we did on that first album. But yeah, we've had a few lineup changes. But yeah, we're back to just being the originals, and we've got shows next year.
I think it's safe to say, and this is me saying this and not me putting words in your mouth or you saying it, you guys are the lineup that we all are familiar with.
I think people are familiar with the original and then with Heidi.
Correct. Yeah. Because what year did Heidi come through?
Heidi came through, I think it was 2002 maybe. Okay. And then we had like most of our commercial success with her.
Understand. Because you formed in 1998 and then just after that 2000 is when the album started to come out.
Yeah, so we had the first album, which was... And I really am so thankful for that album. Because of that album, we get a second chance, because that was critical acclaim. We did things on the album that at the time girl bands weren't actually doing. It was like eclectic.
Give me an example. Like what?
It was just, first of all, we wrote the album ourselves. And I think being so young, I think we were 14 when we first came out. A lot of people would expect 14-year-olds to be like teeny bop sort of kind of music. Yeah. But actually, the first album was very like indie pop R&B. It was a fusion, and it was about teenage angst and depression and just all these things that we were feeling at the time.
Yeah, just growing up.
Yeah, so people really respected that, and that's why I feel like we had the second chance with Heidi after Siobhan had left, because of the reputation of that album.
Understand.
Yeah.
So Keish, if I bring it back, one thing that I like to ask all my guests is like where it all began. So from what I understand, you're not Dominican.
No.
But you actually are London born to Jamaican parents.
Correct.
Jamaican on both sides?
Both sides.
And what part of London did you grow up in?
Northwest.
Which part?
So basically, with all the moving around, so I literally lived in Wembley and Sudbury and in Kingsbury. Spent my teen years in Kingsbury.
Okay, so you're proper Northwest girl.
Northwest all day, yeah.
And you... like we said, you're part of like British music history. So in terms of the band and what you guys have done, you have 6 #1 singles, a few of which we'll play later in the show. You have 5 UK top 10 you've released 5 UK top 10 albums, 4 of which were certified platinum in the UK. You were nominated for 6 Brit Awards and you won the Best British Dance Act, and we'll put my teeth in 2003. So it's fair to say that you are one of the most successful British pop acts of the 21st century. Mm-hmm. How does it feel? Because I know you. How does it feel when people say that to you?
Same way that I don't know. It's obviously like a blessing. It feels really exciting, but I don't think you really get that when you actually live in the experience. It goes by so quickly. Yeah. But that's what you want to do. You want to make waves, like, you know, when you come into an industry like this. And so I'm super proud of us.
Yeah, and I'm proud of you too.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm proud of you too. Not just because we're friends, but just because of what I've seen you doing. And then we're going to touch on it a little bit later, but you kind of get monikered with the Black Sugababes, whatever that means. And it's an awkward phrase to me, but you've kind of embraced it. And in the 2 years that we've had, and talking about the black experience in the entertainment industry, you have been very vocal. And I think you'll be quite inspirational to a number of people who are coming up as well. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. So, quick question.
Yes.
So this year we've got mugged off, obviously, with COVID.
Yes.
And you guys are performing. It's yourself, Mucha, Siobhan. You're performing as a Sugababes. What's happening at the moment? And what have you got lined up next year? Because I'm pretty sure I read that there's quite a few festivals that you guys are booked in for, like some major ones.
Yeah, so we are headlining the Mighty Hoopla Festival. We also are doing a Victorious Festival with Stereophonics, and then we're doing the Colour Box Festival. And what's interesting is that it's kind of the Victorious Festival is more indie. Okay. And obviously then there's the Colour Box, which is more eclectic. And then Mighty Hoopla is like pop festival. Yeah. So, yeah.
Because in terms of genres of music, you guys are kind of cross-genre as well, isn't it? In terms of music that you guys release and your 6 number ones.
Yeah, they were really different.
They get labelled pop, but generally they're kind of across the board. You've got R&B in there. You've got indie.
We were like performing at the Mobos, which is, you know, it's like it's
obviously
show for black music. So we've done the Mobos, and then we've done the Brits. And then we do like all the sort of like pop smash hits type of like back in the day, those kind of shows as well.
Smash hits.
Do you remember Oh my God. I've got some stories about those
I've
tours.
not heard about smash hits. My older sister was telling me about that.
Whatever. Your older sister.
I'm older than you, Kish. Well. Of course I remember. And tell me the Pops on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So you guys have got quite a few things lined up. It's just with everything changing every day, we just hope that everything progresses as normal. It's just like with me in the event that I've got next week, we really can't judge things until they happen, isn't it?
That's true.
But we're here and we give thanks for everything that we've got each and every day and the people around us.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I touched upon earlier was just you being labelled, and tell me if you don't feel comfortable with this, because, you know, I want you to be quite frank, the Black Sugababe.
Interestingly, I label myself that because I did a video. So I've got a YouTube channel, as you know. Yeah. And
what's your YouTube channel called?
Literally Keisha Buchanan.
Nice.
But I did a video about my experiences in the Sugababe, and it's actually called the Black Sugababe. And no one ever really labelled me that as such, but I felt like
they kind of did
behind my back then. But I feel like because of everything that's happened with, you know,
but you're more than that. But I know people are kind of like, and maybe it's a Caribbean thing. Sorry to interject, but we like to describe people with what they see. So it might be Sally with the big foot. It might be Keisha the Black Sugababe. It might.
But again, I feel like it became more prominent for me to actually, I guess, embrace that way. Like,
because you are a proud black woman.
I'm definitely black and I'm definitely Sugababe. So there we go.
And you're proud.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So you did the documentary, was it filmed 2020, but it came out 2021?
Which, the one with Leanne?
Yeah, Leanne Pinnock, and she's of Little Mix, and it was with yourself.
Yes.
Alexandra Burke, Nayo, if I pronounce that correctly, and Ray. And you all kind of spoke about your experiences in the industry of racism and colorism. And I watched it when it came out, and I watched it again recently. And my main takeaway was, you can't really label everybody's experience the same. Like, we all have an understanding that colorism and racism is horrendous, but all of our experiences have been different as well.
Very different.
How did you find it?
I think, like, you know...
And how did they approach you? Sorry, I'm throwing like questions at you.
No, it's okay. Well, Leanne, I've known her for a little while, and she asked me to be a part of it, which I was really proud to be. And obviously my experiences have been very different. Obviously from a documentary, if no one's seen it, Leanne's experience was about she felt very different in among a group that was predominantly white. I know now that we know that one of the girls has mixed. She's
mixed. Part Egyptian, isn't she?
Yeah, but she more so passes for
white. Let's be honest. This is a black-owned station. A lot of our listeners will be from different backgrounds. I think let's just be frank and say how we think and what we feel.
Well, that's her
And she speaks about that really openly, isn't it?
Does.
And that whole kind of passing phenomenon and how that makes her feel uncomfortable because she, again, sounded proud of her heritage, but people might not associate her with that background.
No, absolutely. And my experiences were completely different. And I don't know whether because even though Mutia, she's half white, half Filipino. Yeah. Mutia's like... She grew up black, basically.
I've not met her, actually.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. You'd get along with her so much. But yeah, so my experience was very different. The fans have always embraced me. I've never felt the way that Leanne did. So when I was asked to actually be a part of the documentary, I think for me, my main objective was to make sure that little black girls watched the documentary and actually was like, because I've never experienced colorism.
Can I be honest? I've never experienced direct colorism, but I see it and I hear it in terms of people saying things but directed towards other people but not directed towards me.
Right, okay.
So they never go, Emma, you're too dark. And I'm a very dark-skinned black woman.
But how old... Okay, so for me, I came out of... We left school like when we were 13.
Yeah, it's different, right?
Yeah, and so for me, my experience was like, you're the black girl in the group in a positive way. And so for me, and also as well, in the 90s, the biggest... pop stars on the planet were all brown skin girls. Let's go through the list.
Brandy.
Lauryn Hill. There we go. Brandy. Mary J. Blige. You know, even when we looked at groups like TLC, you know, we had Chili in there, who was browner than the other girls.
Yeah.
So I had so much...
Just a touch.
But when you look at all three...
They're all beautiful. Oh my God, TLC are one of my faves. I'm not cussing.
Yeah, but when you look at all three of them, there is like a stark
She's
difference
mixed heritage, but she's darker complected.
There we go. So for me, growing up as a young girl, I'm like, oh, she's the browner one and this. So I had so much representation. Not so much in the UK.
Yeah.
But in, you know, America. So that was the whole point of me doing the documentary, because I was like, we need to let these little girls know that actually you can be successful.
And we're coming up to the hour, so the ads are going to start in about 2 minutes, Keish. But let's talk about this, because I think what you go through growing up as well shapes you as well. So I think part of the reason why I wasn't as aware of colorism is because it wasn't something that I was made to feel different from by my mother and father at home. Wow. So it's obviously happening in and around me.
What about at school?
Again, I didn't notice it, but it's fully there. Colorism is a thing, and there's things that happen, like even now in terms of like sayings, songs, memes that happen in culture. And we're going to touch on this after the hour, because the ads will start in a second, in about 30 seconds. But there's so many things that I could see, and again, it's probably like your experience where it's not necessarily my experience, but I didn't need to experience it to know that it fully is disgusting, and the negative impact it has on our people as well, you know? So I think that was a really good documentary. And do you know what I liked about it as well? The optics of many different types of black women and their experience. Absolutely. I think that's really powerful, because if you're mixed heritage, if you are darker skinned, we had Alexandra talking about colorism, for example.
It's crazy. Her story was so upsetting.
It was so sad.
Yeah.
It was so sad. But again, powerful. So guys, we are just approaching the hour. You got 5, 4, 3,